You know what, I really wish they'd had the three-point shot when I was playing. I only averaged about 22 points a game in college, but this is the three-point line right here. And I just want to see if I can do this. Now, I'm 60 years old, so let's see if I can make the shot. Here we go. Pitch up. The old left-handed hook, yeah, it's still with me. Right-handed hook, still got it. Come back out here to the foul line. I shot about 92% foul line when I was in college. And okay, one more time on the three-pointer, just to prove it can be done by someone of my age. Yes, there it goes. Well, this is where I learned about leadership, with this round basketball on the court. And it was a court a lot like this. I grew up in Indiana, where basketball was the fourth member of the Trinity. And yes, it was a religious experience. And it was in those days, as a young boy, that I played hour after hour on the basketball court. And when I got to high school, I met the man who really did change my life. I don't want to go into great detail, but I didn't have a father. He wasn't around. I never met him. And so father figures or coaches were very important to me. And as I entered into high school, I was academically ineligible. I couldn't even play on the high school basketball team. I was a freshman, and we had a new coach come to our high school. His name was Gene Ring, R-I-N-G, Ring. And he was the kind of guy that sort of, at the same time, would excite you, but also make you want to wet your pants. He was a frightening kind of man in a way. I'll never forget the first speech. There we sat on the bleachers, about 25 or 30 of us, being introduced to our new coach, and he paced back and forth, and he began this staccato kind of talking. He'd say, well, we're going to run up and down that court, boys. We're going to get up and down that court. We're going to get up in there. We're going to get up in there. And his favorite phrase was, get up in there. And again, he was just an interesting man. And so my sophomore year, I actually made it academically, and I was able to play on the junior varsity basketball team. And during that year, you know, in Indiana, there's the state tournament, and it comes around February. And Coach Ring would bring together the varsity, the junior varsity teams, and he would talk to us about the state tournament. One can't forget the talk he gave. He said, boys, it's state tournament time. And it's state tournament time. And he'd repeat himself like that. And we're gonna have I want you guys really concentrating. And I want you really concentrating. And I don't want you to, there's two things I don't want you doing. First of all, I want you to take those books and throw them out the window. Take them out. I don't want you studying. And the second thing is no skirts. I don't want you seeing you with a skirt. I don't want you holding hands with a skirt. We all knew what a skirt meant. We don't want to, if I see you, I'm going to come out and get you. So a couple days later, I'm walking down the hallway hand in hand with my girlfriend, my bride-to-be, Linda. Linda and my combined age was 30. We were in love. And so Coach Ring sees me. Now, I didn't think this applied to the junior varsity team. And Coach Ring came up to me and says, come here, boy, come here. And he took me into the janitor's closet in the gymnasium. And he shoved me up against the wall and he said, boy, you're just a big puppy. You're just a big puppy. He said, you don't know anything about love. Now, I want you to break up with that girl. Break up with her. And so I was very tempted to break up with her. But I held on. And that was Coach Ring. Now we fast forward to my senior year. I'm now 6'6", not 6'3". I'm now 18 years old. And I am being counted on to be really the leader of the team. And he nicknamed me Hoss. Back in 1965, that was my senior year. Remember Bonanza in color with Hoss and Pa and Little Joe and Adam. Bonanza, the great television series. And so I was Hoss. And he'd say, Hoss, let me tell you something, boy, let me tell you something. This year we're going to have a great year. We're really going to have a great year. But I want you to know this, son. If when we lose a game, it's your fault. Now that's the way he started me off. And so he put a lot of responsibility on me. But here was a man who was everything I wasn't. I was an underachiever. I was uninspired. I was a person who didn't have a lot of confidence or high expectations of myself. And here is Gene Ring, a man of high expectation, a man of great inspiration, a real hard worker. And so he's now kind of channeling who he is into me. And I'm becoming more like him. I'm practicing basketball every day, year-round. I'm doing all the things that he wants me to do because I wanted to please him. And so during that year, we were winning some games and we lost some games. I never forget one night, we were playing this team. And my legs were cramping. I mean, it was really a bad game, and I had 4 points at halftime. I was averaging about almost 20 points a game. And so at halftime, there we were sitting down in the locker room in a little circle, the starting five, and I could hear Ring coming down the hallway. And he was breathing. You could hear him breathing, throwing things. And he burst into the locker room, and he saw me, and he just lunged at me, and I went back over in my chair. And the wrestling coach pulled him off of me. The second half, I scored 25 points. Now, my friends, that's called coaching. That's called influence. Whatever you want. It could be called fear, which is probably what it was. But he expected a lot out of me. And remember, he told me that whenever we lose, Haas, it's your fault. It comes down to our last game in my senior year. We played in Butler Fieldhouse, you know, that place that where the end of the film Hoosiers is recorded. And there, Coach Ring kept saying to me during the game, Haas, you don't want this to be your last game, do you? You don't want this to be your last game? And I said, no, sir. He says, okay, now go out there and play. Well, it turned out to be a very close game. We lost the game. At the end of the game, Coach Ring chased the officials into their dressing room and had to be taken away by several officials because of he was just so angry about the game. And there I sat down in my locker room, in front of my locker, and I was in tears. And he comes in, and he says, Haas, that wasn't your fault. He released me, didn't he? He let me go. He took the pressure off. And he was the kind of man, though, that I knew that he loved me. And his influence was in his character. His character was such that he was enthusiastic, he had high expectations, he was hardworking, he was inspirational, he was all the things I wasn't. But it seems how, it was amazing, when I left high school, this man, this classic overachiever, had taken me, a classic underachiever, and turned me into a classic overachiever. And I've spent all my life overachieving, surprising people, doing things that they didn't think I could do. Now, part of that is Gene Ring and his influence.